Assalamualaikum and hi madam. My name is Shakinah binti Muhammad Anwar. My matric number is A22A1187. Today I will discuss about the question A, define inflation and explain the importance of consumer price index. Firstly, I'm going to talk about the inflation. Inflation is the rate at which prices increase over time, signaling the depreciation of buying power. It represents a presenting rise in the average level of prices for goods and services within an economy. Essentially, when inflation occurs, you need more money to buy the same goods and services as before. Next is understanding the consumer price index CPI. One quicker economic indicator for calculation inflation is the consumer price index CPI. This CPI measures the average price level of basket of goods and services that household frequently use. By tracking how the price of these items change over time, the CPI provided insight into general price pattern. Next, I will continue with the importance of consumer price index or CPI. Firstly, it is important for inflation measurement. CPI tracks the average price change over time for a basket of goods and services frequently used by households. It also is essential for identifying inflation trend and evaluating economic policy. It usually used by businesses, consumers, and policymakers to manage economic volatility and adjust strategy. Consumer price index also important for cost of living adjustment. It changes the CPI directly influence the cost of living index. It also impacts social security benefit, retirement contribution, and employee wage increases. It also ensures government benefit and social security payment keep pace with living cost change. Lastly, it helps individual and employee make informed financial decisions, protecting the standard of living. That's all for me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nur Atika binti Hussein and my number entry is A22A1155. So in my part, I will briefly explain what would happen to the value of money when the price level increase. What would happen? So when the price level increase, the value of the money will be decreased, and this is due to inflation because the general rise in prices reduces the purchasing power of money. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi, I'm Naifah binti Omar, matrix number A22A0717. I'll be discussing the types of inflation that can occur when imported raw material and fuel prices increase. Let's start with cost push inflation. Cost push inflation happens when the cost of production rises due to higher prices for imported raw materials and fuels. Businesses facing increased costs for manufacturing and transportation often pass this cost on to consumers by raising the prices of their goods and services. For instance, in Malaysia, an increase in gasoline and raw material prices would lead to higher production costs. As a result, companies would raise their prices to cover these additional expenses, leading to cost push inflation. Next, let's talk about imported inflation. This type of inflation occurs when the prices of imported goods increase, directly affecting the domestic market. In a country like Malaysia, which relies heavily on imports for raw materials and energy, a rise in the cost of these imports leads to higher prices within the country. Even if domestic demand remains constant or decreases, the increase in import prices can still cause inflationary pressure. For example, if global commodity prices rise, the cost of imported food and raw material will increase, leading to higher prices for a wide range of goods and services in Malaysia. Both cost push and imported inflation contribute to an overall upward pressure on the general price level in the economy. The extent of these inflationary pressures depends on several factors, including the magnitude of price increases for imported inputs, how businesses respond to these cost changes, and the overall strength of domestic demand. In summary, the understanding these types of inflation helps us grasp how global changes in commodity prices can significantly impact a country's economy, especially for net importers like Malaysia.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nofarhani binti Makdao and my matric number is A22A1234. So my question is, government can obtain revenue from many sources. Explain the important sources of government revenue mentioned in the above article. So the main sources of government revenue mentioned in the article is the Goods and Service Tax, GST. So GST is a value-added tax levied at every stage of the supply chain for production to the end consumer. So I will pass to my friend to other answer.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Hamizah binti Abdul Malik. My number is A22A1258. Next point is the price adjustment of control goods. It can indirectly affect GST revenue. This is because when the control price increases, the GST collected on this higher price also increases. This price adjustment drive up import price following the depression of the ringgit exchange rates. If import price rise, it will certainly contribute to inflation. Therefore, fixed rise, fixed price, and weak ringgit exchange rates serve as important sources of government revenue mentioned in the article also affect GST income. It will indirectly affect the level of inflation and consequently impact government decision through various economic mechanisms. Last, moratorium on profit margin after the implementation of GST may also causes the price of goods and services to increases. Further, increases GST collection. For example, the article mentioned that the removal of the moratorium on profit margin after the implementation of GST could lead to higher prices for goods and service in the second half of 2016. This indicates that the government expects increases GST revenue as price rise due to the end of the moratorium.
Salam sejahtera, my name is Salina anak perempuan bin. My metric number A22A0508. Today I want to present question E. E discuss two mandatory tools Bank Negara Malaysia can use to control the effect of inflation. First, open market operation OMO. Open market operation involves the buying and selling of government securities, such as bond in the market by Bank Negara Malaysia. Selling securities absorb liquidity from the financial system, reduce the money supply, decrease aggregate demand, help curb inflationary pressure. Buying securities inject liquidity into the financial system, increase the money supply, stimulate economic activity, and makes funds more available for borrowing and spending. Impact on interest rate. Buying securities increase demand for them, raising the price and lowering yields. Interest rate. Lower yields on government securities lead to lower overall interest rate, encouraging borrowing and spending.